Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt here with attorney Stetson, attorney for Marquardt Law Firm. He's focusing on probate and estate planning. This is the third segment, so we're going to talk about sinners and saints. Okay, you know I like to talk about sinners and saints because Martin Luther, the famous theologian who nailed his 95 Thesis to the church door, said that we're all born sinners, but we're saints too because we've been forgiven and absolved by the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. So I combine that with my role as an attorney, and I like to talk about law and gospel and sinners and saints. So the sinner is somebody that did something bad, allegedly, and the saint will be somebody that's done something good. So we're talking about real estate and probate law, and so I wanted to tie this in and find a sinner who had sinned against real estate. And I found one in Houston. So if you're listening on KNTH, call us right now, 210-308-8867, and let us know you're listening and where you're from. The sinner is from Houston, or the Houston area, Harris County, Montgomery County. It's a married couple that's been accused of stealing of dozens of properties through forged deeds and affidavits of heirship back in 2025. The suspects, sorry I have to mention your name, Alba Martinez and her husband Jaron, they were sued by the Harris County Attorney's Office for running one of the most brazen deed fraud schemes the county had ever seen. The couple allegedly forged deeds, including fake notary stamps and affidavits of heirship, falsely claiming ownership of these properties, often by pretending to have inherited them from deceased owners and transferred those properties to themselves or shell entities. Then they tried to sell these properties to unsuspecting buyers. Are you familiar with this problem?
I haven't experienced it firsthand. I do know a lot of people are worried about it. I've had a lot of our clients ask us about it. But there's recently been something, in my opinion, that it's not a cure, but it may help prevent some of it. In the most recent legislative session, it was required now that anybody recording a document that's a real property conveyance of some form or of any form, that individual is required to show their photo ID to the clerk prior to being able to record it.
Isn't that discrimination? What about people that can't get an ID? This just reminds me of the Save America Voting Act.
But I would argue if they don't have an ID, how are they even purchasing property to begin with?
Oh, so another instance when an ID is required when you purchase property?
Well, the notary's going to need to see it to notarize all the documents. If there's a lender involved, their packet is going to be littered with places that need to be notarized. So,
well, you're going to have to tell all this to the left because they vehemently hate voter identification. Well, and they hate identification for everything. They should be standing up in the streets saying that minorities can't purchase property because they can't find their ID.
Yeah, well, these rules exist for a reason.
One of them is to stop fraud.
Yeah.
Well, in the same legislative session, Senate Bill 16, which was signed September 17th, 2025, also had some new criminal offenses in the Texas Penal Code. Section 31.23, filing or attempting to transfer, sell, or encumber someone else's real property without the owner's consent with the intent to deprive them. And 32.60, using deception, false statements, forged documents to obtain or affect real property title. So they're going after these people.
I'm glad.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit more about this. I found a Facebook page from, I think it was Fort Worth, the district attorney's office. They say there's two big wins for victims. Criminal judgments will now be filed in property records, showing that the cloud on the title came from a crime, which makes it easier for the homeowner to sell their homes. And victims can now ask a civil court to void the fraudulent deed with no filing fee. So I didn't verify the validity of those claims from Facebook, but since it was posted by the district attorney, I figured it was
I would
probably
like to believe
true.
that it's true.
So all this problem with deed fraud and title theft got me thinking about that commercial on TV. And some of the radio hosts even promote this company that sells title fraud insurance. And the Texas Attorney General, well, let me back up. A client asked me about this one time. Do I need the insurance that they sell on TV to stop people from stealing my title? And I said, I don't think so. I've never had anybody tell me that their title was stolen. Apparently, this happens mostly in Dallas and in Houston. So if you're listening on KNTH 1070 or 103.3 FM, this is a hidden legal issue blind spot. You need to make sure that your title doesn't get stolen. But the Texas Attorney General, Ken Paxton, in 2023, issued a civil investigative demand requiring this company that advertises on TV to provide evidence backing up its advertising claims, how common title theft is, and the need for its services. So he's claiming that they're deceptive trade practices. And another thing that I learned is that you can do this yourself. You don't need to call any company on TV. You can search for your county and search for your county clerk's office and fraud alert, basically. And if you're listening to Talk Law Radio and you want step-by-step instructions on how to do this, and you don't want to search online, you don't want to go down the Google wormhole, you can email me at host@talklawradio.com. That's HOS as in Sam, T as in Timothy, at talklawradio.com. And I'll email you back with some specific instructions. Just put fraud alert in the subject line, and in the body of the email, tell me where you're listening from. So I was able to find the Bexar County fraud alert website. You just go to that county clerk's website, where we search for the deeds. Mm-hmm. And the menu button is those 3 lines. Websites don't even have a stamp there that says this is the menu. You just have to know that 3 lines means menu. Yeah. And you click on that, and one of the links is property alert. And I didn't get much past that because I had to come here this morning. But this is something that you can do yourself. And if you want step-by-step instructions, email me at host@talklawradio.com. So that's going to be really cool to start telling all of our clients about this fraud alert.
Yeah.
The saint for this week are a couple of people running nonprofits here in San Antonio who are helping people that don't happen to own real estate. They're what we call homeless or unhoused. So you might remember Mark Wittig, who runs Town Twin Village, was on our show back in November 2025. If you want to review that episode and see the positive impact that he's having on people's lives, search YouTube for Talk Law Radio, Town Twin Village. Another saint who's also making a positive impact on people's lives is Dawn Fosdick White. She's the director for Christian Assistance Ministry, and she was on the show back in January 2026. And if you want to see that episode, search YouTube for Talk Law Radio, Christian Assistance Ministry. Okay, so we've been talking about all the problems that happen with real estate title. How can people that expect to inherit a property do something to help prevent their inherited property from being stolen in the first place?
Well, if assuming no probate's been done yet, right?
Right.
So the first step, in my opinion, whether whoever the decedent may be, don't put off going to speak to an attorney to see if probate's necessary or anything like that, because if you do put it off, record title's not going to change on its own.
Right.
And you're just you're really opening the door for the sinners here to come in and attempt to, fraudulently steal your property.
Right, and not only that, but it gets more difficult over time because people might pass away, they might get scattered across the United States, and a lot of times when somebody dies without a will, you have to get the participation of lots of members of the family to get things cleared up. We got to take a break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Most families don't realize they have hidden legal blind spots until it's too late. Wills, trusts, Medicaid planning, even protecting a business. These are the kinds of issues attorney Todd Marquardt helps uncover before they become problems. Todd is the host of Talk Law Radio, where each week he guides listeners through the legal challenges families, veterans, and business owners face, while showing them the practical steps to protect what matters most. Catch Talk Law Radio, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, 6:30 a.m. The Word, and now in Houston on AM 1070 and 103.3 FM The Answer, or anytime on YouTube. Planning isn't just about documents. It's about peace of mind, security for loved ones, and building a legacy that lasts. Don't wait for a crisis. Do it before you die.